Oh, wait. So how are we going to start this every time?
It doesn't matter.
I know, but it's like, I'll have another. And then it's about you and I hanging out. Fish and D hanging out, having quality time.
Nobody cares about the intro.
And then you called me a little bee right before you, like right before we open it up. I'm like, oh, that's not hurtful.
A little bitch.
All right, fine.
No, but yeah, because I was like, where's your cocktail? And you were like, it doesn't matter. It's fine.
Well, when we spoke about your last book, I was not of the right mind because you and I pre-beveraged way too much beforehand.
You and I, or just you?
I think your body is so used to the amount of alcohol you consume.
That is not true. I am not an alcohol consumer like I used to be.
Oh my God, you were amazing back in the day. Oh.
Yeah.
Back before you were more stable and happy.
I know, right?
When you were miserable.
Yeah.
Misery breeds alcohol. It's great.
I could really hold my own.
You could. And now you're very in depth and you're life-provoking. No, not provoking.
Life-provoking. I hope not. Stop
you're
reading.
Life-thinking. And I'm trying to read. Well, you get mad at me because I still haven't read your other book that you suggested, which was
The Four Agreements.
The Four Amendments. Isn't it?
So bad. You're so bad.
Okay, it's The Four Agreements.
Yeah.
And which is about...
And then, like, I even posted it. It was proof that Facebook is always listening. But so after we did the podcast, this post came up and it was whatever, like a suggested follow, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And it was someone talking about the Four Agreements. And so I shared it. And then there was all these people that were commenting about how they love that book. It's one of their favorite books. They read it all the time or whatever. They regularly read it. It's in their bathroom. They do whatever.
Good to read while you poo.
Well, but I also, like, I'll listen to the Four Agreements because I usually listen to these books.
You have to teach me about the book listening. Our boss has actually been talking to me about that too. So yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of windshield time. So the Audible is good for me.
See, I do the podcast because typically because, I support podcasting people.
I'll do both.
Okay.
You can do both.
That's a lot of listening.
God, why are you so extreme?
What am I going to? Well, when do you listen to the most podcasts? Is it like when you're driving, or is it when you go on your walks?
Driving. Usually in my walks, I try to not listen to anything.
Why is that?
Because I'm scared of men.
Which would be a great name for a podcast.
Yeah, because you have to be aware of what's going on around your surroundings.
I'll be like the male voice if you want to get three of your females together and do a podcast called I'm Scared of Men.
It's true.
It would be great.
It's true. Didn't you see that big story where there was like women would rather encounter a bear on a walking trail than a man because at least a bear will just kill you? I
know that my old dog, Barrett the dog, that my ex used to go on walks with him. Around like a trail near our old home.
Yeah.
And there was a guy that gave her the skeeves.
Oh, yeah, I knew.
And, I know Current actually as well. Same time when you're there, she was walking, Kara was walking the other day, and there was a guy back there, and it kind of freaked her out.
Yeah.
I'm usually not that guy, though. When I walk, because what I do when I walk is I like to make sure both my hands are to my side and then elevated about 6 women inches, not man inches, and then palms out.
Yeah.
So when I'm walking.
You're like walking like Jesus.
You were like, you like this?
The peaceful Jesus, but no, you're like
arms all the way down. Come on, do you like this?
Oh
Come
my God.
on. Hey girl, what's up?
I can't believe you should be pepper sprayed daily.
I'm immune to it. I practiced for years. I pepper spray myself all the time.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
I bet you did.
Okay, so today what are we doing?
Today is a book that I think everybody should read or listen to. I really enjoyed listening to it more so than reading. Reading got hard because there's a lot of numbers in the book.
Numbers. What the hell?
So It's called The Good Life. And so it's a 80-year plus study on happiness.
Okay, so penis. Okay, so the numbers, is it about salary and what we should make a year and all that crap?
It does get into that.
Okay.
But you're going to be kind of surprised at what the results are about that.
Whether we're all screwed.
So here we go. For 84 years, the Harvard study, it's still going on, by the way.
Okay. Of the Good Life by Harvard.
Yeah. The Good Life is a book based on the study results.
Okay.
The study is a different thing.
Got you.
For
Sorry.
84 years and counting, the Harvard study has tracked the same individuals, asking thousands of questions and taking hundreds of measurements to find out what really keeps people healthy and happy.
Huh.
Through all the years of studying these lives, one crucial factor stands out for the consistency and power of its ties to physical health, mental health, and longevity. Contrary to what many people might think, it's not career achievement, exercise, or healthy diet. Those things do matter. But one thing continuously demonstrates its broad and enduring importance, and that's good relationships. Good relationships are significant enough that if we had to take all 84 years of the Harvard study and boil it down to one single principle for living, one life investment that is supported by similar findings across a wide variety of other studies, it would be good relationships keep us healthier and happier, period.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay, so this book is about the concept and the reality of how to have a good relationship?
No.
Or just they studied the same people for 80 years?
Yeah, and there's
Wow.
still so like it goes through generations. Like it's like original study people. It's like their kids' kids. It
And
goes
then it's
through
like,
everything.
You're in your 20s, but the year is 19 whatever or 2000 whatever.
And so every 2 years they would go back and ask these people the same kind of questions.
It's brilliant.
And yeah, and it was all based on happiness. So I will say my takeaway from the book was not only that your relationships with other people are important, but also like how you spend your time is another big thing. How and who you spend your time with.
So sitting on the couch watching TV, probably not the best idea.
Well, I mean, if that's not,
Okay.
especially if you're doing it alone. I would
Wow.
say that's
Like,
not.
I feel like you were just looking at me.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But there's so much more.
Okay.
I have a million different excerpts from this.
Yeah, you have like 70 pages. I'm digging this.
Because like I was having a hard time finding like I was having a hard time condensing it because there's so much good stuff in there.
Okay.
So let's see. We're gonna I don't know if do we go with the money thing first?
You know, I think it's good to let's just get over because the money thing I'm hoping is not the dominant thing.
Oh, it's not at all.
Then let's get that done with and let's just like rip it's like going to your accountant or whatever if you do your whatever.
Right.
Like let's just give the government their share.
Pursuit of material wealth does not equate a fulfilling and a happy life.
Oh.
So basically what they found when they did the research, once you reach that level of like being able to pay your bills
Okay.
and
Here we
be
go.
okay.
Okay.
Once you stack wealth on top of that, it doesn't make you happier.
Okay, because that's one of money can't buy happiness. I think is the biggest bullshit phrase because it sure can help. I'm gonna be a lot happier in a private jet. God, I mean, I never would.
But you won't be happier in a private jet. You'll be happy
Yes, I will.
if you can pay your bills. Like having that financial cloud where you're like, how am I going to pay the electric bill?
Yep.
That affects your happiness.
Beginning of my career.
Once you reach that level where you can pay all of that,
like where you are,
right, 100%.
She's loaded.
You can't add more money onto that and make more happiness. You're going to have that same level of happiness because that's how the human brain works.
Do you really? I mean, is this the book or is this you?
It's me.
Okay, because I met you. Much like my friend, I call him Jake the trainer. I like when you guys were both like, so when I started, my older partner, Connie, who's passed is, I slept on her couch. She, was living in efficiency housing. I made $10,500 a year, $10,500 a year.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Out of college in debt. And I wasn't happy, but I do remember the first time I had a really significant paycheck, which would be 5 years later.
Right.
My boss, we had just gotten a big raise. And my old boss was like, listen, this is going to, not change your life as much as you think. And I was like, whatever. But once you get to a tax bracket, you could get a $10,000 raise and it's really $100 a paycheck.
Right.
If that.
Right.
But you do achieve a certain amount because you weren't really happy when you were struggling financially, but exactly. You've worked very hard now and gambled a lot on yourself in your career. So do you find that where you are now financially is.
So we were just talking about this on the radio show that I do too, where
yes, she does a radio
show. So there's
show.
the level, the ladder of satisfaction that you're on, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. And so I would say out of 10, I am at a 9 right now of happiness in my life.
Okay, so if you won the lotto, money can't buy happiness, right? If you won $400 million take home, or like that guy from Laos that won the Powerball.
Oh my God.
200, what is it? 211.
So amazing.
211. He has cancer. He's had it for 5 years.
I know.
$211 million is his half for he and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think you'd be more happy than you are now?
So the reason I would be more happy is for another whole thing that's in the book.
Okay, she's getting the quotes ready.
Yep.
Because that's what I'm saying. Like, money can't buy happiness, but yeah.
The only thing that would make me happier is if I could do more for others. That's the one notch that's missing.
I'm with you.
You know?
I'm with you. I get it.
And
I get it.
that's in here too, where it's true happiness is not attained through self-gratification, but through fidelity to a worthy purpose. And that's a theme that plays through the whole thing as you start to realize like your relationships with other people and how, and not just other people, but your community.
Actually quite brilliant.
Right. Totally. So the book goes through these individual stories. So it's not just like percentages snapped from this whole study, right?
It's not annoying, boring, like,
right.
Well, you read it or hear it.
It'll take like a number from the study, and then it'll be like, let's take Joe, for example, and then it'll go through his life.
Who voiced the book? I'm not trying to be funny.
I don't even know.
But is it at least compelling? Is it like,
oh yeah. It's really easy to listen to.
Let's take Joe for it.
No.
Okay.
So it'll show in there how these people, like there was one example where it was two brothers that had the same upbringing and whatever, and one of them ended up being like this huge lawyer, and
it's like my brother. He's a commercial realtor. Yeah.
Took a lot of time away from his family to expand his career.
Oh.
And he had all this money and he could do all these things, but he was super isolated. His brother was a teacher, made next to nothing, but he was involved in all these extracurriculars, all these community events, whatever.
Happier.
And 100%.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I mean, like, I was using my brother, but my brother's life is like literally, Kara has said to me before, if I die, I want to come back as Mike and Janet retire. Like they're not retired, but their kids are in college. They got that frontier type flight that where you pay, then you can fly in a moment's notice. He's a commercial realtor, so he's got a loose schedule, and they're living life large. Like they're not living large; they're enjoying their life wisely.
Right.
He's a commercial realtor. It's not as bad as you think after COVID.
Right.
But that being said, I threw myself into my career. I'm nowhere near where they are. But I mean, are you achieving greater happiness because you have children? Or
this is one of the quotes. You might believe that making 6 figures or landing a new job or upgrading from your old Honda will make you happy. But in short order, you will have gotten used to that situation too, and your brain will move on to the next challenge and the next desire, which is why your goals shouldn't be looking for these material things, right? Because once you get those, you're going to feel unfulfilled.
Yeah.
It's these relationships that you cultivate,
Okay.
And, right. 100%. And that was one of my favorite takeaways from it because, and it also like, I think is an exercise in gratitude as well. Like as you're listening to it, you're like, okay, so I have this part covered, like I have a really good relationship with X or whatever with,
I think about our story. I really do. I used to, okay. We were at this golf outing. And D, who's with me right now, right, and Christy, they knew I would always pick up the tab. And it's funny too because I always get called cheap. But like even my other partner Kanye would always stick me with that. Like, how am I cheap if I'm picking up the tab? Well, at this point I'm married, and Axe was not happy about me always picking up the tab. But my point is, though, and eventually I would stop, but the point with the story is I picked up the tab for you, I pick up the tab for you, but it doesn't, that's not why we were friends, but we were getting to know each other as we were whatever. Yeah. And you weren't in the situation where you could afford that.
No.
At all. So you had not achieved happiness at all at this point.
Right.
But then my friend, air partner, gets sick. You immediately are like, he needs help. And then you're giving back.
Yeah.
So you're saying like one gets the next? Is that what you're saying? The concept of the book is like the charity work. I'm thinking about that still. Like,
no, I
saying,
don't think that you're looking for like a payoff from it, but it's more like
is that selfish?
There's an emotional fulfillment from doing that.
But like, I got a fulfillment of doing that for you or doing that for.
But
my
you
friend
weren't
Jake.
doing it expecting me
never
to do anything for you.
And you're lesbian, so I'm not looking.
Right.
There's no payout.
But I'll also say that too, and this isn't in the book, but I will say having expectations is the thief of joy. Like, you need to do things without expectations attached to it, or you won't be happy.
But what about when you get irritated when you do something for someone and they don't say thank you?
That's because you have an expectation. You need to do it. You need to do it without expecting a thank you, because you're doing it for you.
What about when I hold the door open for somebody and they don't say thank you?
Let it go.
What if about when I'm going through the grocery store and they almost bump into me and they
Let
don't
it
say
go.
excuse me?
Let it go.
You know, I actually, an older lady almost ran into me with a grocery cart recently and she didn't say excuse me. I was like, hey, we're good. I got it covered with the excuse me. That covers both of us. We're good. Because I was having a day.
But you know, maybe she was having a day.
I don't care. Just say excuse me, damn it. Don't you? Am I all over the map, or does that make sense?
No, you're fine. You're fine. And you're working through all of this too. Like, everybody's working through that. We're all trying.
Yeah, and that's this book, The Good Life.
Right.
So it's
she might have been trapped in her head. What if she was at the doctor earlier that day and they gave her terrible news and she wasn't even paying attention to where she was going? You know, she was just on autopilot because that's what she had to get done that day.
So she's got like dementia?
Well, yeah, her snatch doesn't work anymore. I don't know. So
LOP, lack of. Okay.
But this brings number 5 that in this list that I have. So giving and acts of kindness bring profound joy. So helping others, contributing to society gives that deep sense of joy and fulfillment. So and this is practicing gratitude, which is also in the 4 agreements, right? Like practicing gratitude and being
saying
thankful.
Thank you or excuse me.
Right. Well, not excuse me, saying thank you. She gave you that experience for the day that made you think about where you were coming from and what you were dealing with.
Yeah.
So you need to thank her for being rude. Like, that's how gratitude works.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And you're ridiculously smart. Like, I don't understand that. Wait.
It's the cycle of gratitude.
So when she...
being rude to you.
I should have stopped and said, you know what? Thank you for being rude to me because it gives me gratitude.
Don't even stop. You just go about your day. But that little twinge that you felt where you're like, you're kind of a bitch for doing that.
Yeah.
You need to be like, okay, well, thank you for making me realize that I have to have patience with you. Like, thank you for making me have to exercise patience. Thank you for, you know, yeah. Like that's the whole cycle of gratitude there, where you end up where you're like grateful for people being kind of shitty to you because it makes you a better person and makes you more understanding and where they're coming.
There's no way that works for you. There's no way you do that.
It's hard.
People are shitty to you a lot.
I know.
I mean, honestly, you're a nice
How do you
human.
think I get through it?
You're a little intimidating, but I mean, honestly, honest to God. I mean, you have amazing Avery, right?
Yeah.
But Avery's your kid. Avery's shitty to you, I'm sure, at some points.
Oh, yeah.
What do you do when your daughters are shitty to you?
Well, and that, I mean, obviously that's, you're trying to guide them through life. So,
I mean, does that tie in with what we're doing or no?
Yeah, your relationship with your kids absolutely does.
Because I have a friend, we'll call her anonymous, that has a couple daughters that are teenagers and they're kind of crappy,
terrible
at time.
Yeah, but like your job at that point. Well, it's hard to make it so it doesn't negatively emotionally affect you, but. Your job at that point is to figure, like, why are you being shitty? What happened today? What's going on that you're being mean to me? And sometimes it's just hormones. And we were all there. We've all been there.
Yeah.
And so coming from a place of understanding, remembering what it was like to be a teenager, I found that with a lot of people where it's just like, don't you remember being an asshole?
I wasn't.
For no reason.
I was fat.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, all joking aside, I was very fortunate. I had an incredible mother and father that rarely fought. But that being said, and they weren't far from perfect. But that being said, I was pretty basic. Like I had no curfew. I had one fight ever with my mother.
Yeah.
And it's because she wouldn't let me play Star Wars with Mike Opdyke. So like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
You, I have a feeling.
Oh yeah.
That's why you like that's like why you like the rock music.
More. Yeah, it was a little.
You're a little naughty.
But I was also the last kid, so I was like a free.
You're the baby.
I was a free range child.
Are you the baby?
Mm-hmm.
I'm the baby. Are you
a
baby?
big
You're a baby. Who's a baby? You're a baby. Okay, wait. You have this giant list. Okay, go to your next one, and then we'll go fill up.
One of the other things I love about this, and this is crazy because this kind of ties into my journey with my horse, oddly enough.
Einstein.
Yeah.
Who used to be, as we learned.
MC squared.
Well, the podcast of I'll Have Another.
Yeah.
Is a horse. It wasn't named after a horse, but it is also the name of a horse that is related to Einstein.
Yep. 100%.
Did you ever dig deeper into that, or?
So Einstein is the great or the great grandson of Secretariat, but they have common ancestors. I believe that I'll Have Another. I have to look into it. I think Danzig and Northern Prospector were in there, but I'll have to double look.
Wait, Einstein is the great grandson of Secretariat.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of thoroughbreds have Secretariat in them.
Can Einstein make baby still or no?
No, he's a gelding.
Okay, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, he's got his nuts cut off.
Oh, so it's like married.
Before we go to break, so this is the lesson I learned through riding my horse and taking lessons.
Okay.
Is that happiness is not a destination, it's a journey. And that's the whole thing. So like I know basic dressage with my horse and whatever, and nobody will ever be perfect at dressage. The Olympic riders will never be perfect. They get like 84%. So like you have to that can't be your goal.
I hate that I know this, but what's dressage?
And whatever, modern dressage, I don't necessarily agree with.
Is that jumping, or is that the fancy?
No. It's on flat. Yeah, it's like the dancing horses or whatever.
Got it. Okay.
But the basic levels of dressage focus on the biomechanics of being the most comfortable that your horse can be carrying you. Teaching your horse how to carry a rider and carry themselves properly.
Okay.
In the most biomechanically friendly way is the basis of dressage. When you get in the higher levels, it gets a little wonkier, and I'm not necessarily what I agree with, and I think it detaches away from what the purpose of it really is. But besides that, it taught me that you're never going to be perfect at this, so you need to just enjoy where you're at with your animal. Enjoy where you are with your journey with your animal. When they learn to carry themselves properly, celebrate that. Don't, instead of like looking towards one main goal, enjoying those tiny victories along the way.
Okay, let me try and do the psychology brain on this one. So you said again, happiness is not a destination; it's a journey.
Yeah.
So much like your body can't be perfect. No person's body is perfect.
Right.
No matter what.
You have to love yourself where you're at.
Yeah. So you love like even if you're, I don't know, newly dumped or like recently my dog passed. I keep saying passed or put to sleep, but I said goodbye. I think the right phrase is, maybe we'll talk more about this in the future, but is I said goodbye to Barrett the dog.
Yeah.
Right. I like, so, cause you never know what to say. Cause you're the one that you put the dog to sleep. Right.
Right.
But anyway, so like you find that new level of happiness. How? Just time?
You have to, right. Well, grieving is time for sure. You need time for that. Nothing's going to help more than time.
Right.
Right. But this is more about finding happiness where you're at. Right. Like you can't be like, once I earn $200,000 a year, I'm going to be happy.
Back to the money. Yeah.
Right. Once I have this, I'm going to be happy. Once I do this, I'm going to be happy.
Doesn't work.
You have to figure out how to be happy where you're at. And you're not going to get to those other places until you accept yourself and feel happy where you're at.
That's deep, but it's spot on.
It's spot on.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Listening to this book, I cried openly at least 5 times.
But you're also...
It's amazing. I'm a super emotional cunt.
I think it's time to have another.
Me too.
Okay, well, we'll have another. We'll be right back. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, we are back. In the future, maybe there will be like some kind of an advertisement thing there.
I doubt it.
What it really was just you and I going and eating sympathy food I got from my friend Grace over at a kennel called Barks on Bourbon because my dog, I said goodbye to my dog.
Yeah.
But can we reset real quick where we're at?
Sure.
If you don't mind. So we're talking about your book, The Good Life.
Well, book I read. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, you wrote it. You wrote that. Yeah. But more or less, we've learned about what money or what was that big sentence? Are these your notes we've used?
Yeah.
Oh, I almost cheated.
I know. Stop it.
It's the last page.
Stop talking to me about it.
Okay. It was
it was about
happiness.
Well, you're talking about the material possessions part.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We covered that.
What did you want me to recap on?
That one sentence we just read before we poured triple shots of espresso martinis.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't.
The good life is one that is engaged in meaningful pursuits and leaves a positive impact on others.
Yeah. Okay. So like it's do unto others.
That's part of it. It's relationships. Relationships is all of this.
Okay.
Right? The relationships that you grow throughout your whole life. And the importance of having good, solid relationships. People that make you want to be a better person. And finding joy in helping others without expecting a return.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that. Like in reality, like in the podcast, it's been 2 minutes. In our life, it's been like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
As we were talking about life. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's more in here. There are some that I covered with our kids. So me and my partner, our kids are about the same ages. And they have this idea. It's part of the Instagram nation, right?
Okay.
And I'm like, well, those people, what you see on Instagram isn't real. None of that's real. And those people will even tell you that it's not real.
Yeah, they're just making it. It's like reality TV.
Right. And that's also that's not being happy. Just, being thin and having nice clothes and driving a nice car. That's not happiness.
Sounds wonderful.
It does. But, and also they look around, they're like, well, these people are happy. Why aren't I happy? But it's like, the people that are happy work at it. It's not, you're not just there naturally.
You're at the gym, you're putting in the reps, you're doing
right.
Like our career, they always say, put in the reps, get on the air, do the thing, right?
Right. You have to put work into it. And but that work is having those relationships, nurturing those relationships, being active in your community, being active, present, for everything that's happening. And that's another part of it too, is like, when you're talking with someone, is your phone down? Are you paying attention? Are you able to be in that moment?
Are you good at putting your phone down and being in the moment?
Oh, 100%.
Are you sure?
I'm super good at it.
Because there's a text thread open right over there. I don't know who me Amor is. Mm-hmm. Who's my Amor?
It's me Amor.
I don't understand. Okay, no.
So
but
here we go.
That's the biggest complaint I get, by the way, is I'm always checking my phone or working or doing something stupid on the socials.
Right. Happiness is not a goal; it's a byproduct. It highlights a profound perspective on the nature of happiness. Rather than being a finite object to pursue, true happiness is an outcome that naturally arises when one lives a life filled with meaningful experiences, relationships, and personal growth.
Okay, so meaningful experiences, doing unto other relationships, like we talked about our relationship, personal growth. Mm-hmm. How do you achieve personal growth? Is it by reading The Good Life, or is it
reflection? You have to be brutally honest with yourself.
It's called self-therapy. My therapists in the past have always said, ooh, fish. Spot on impression of my dad, who was a child psychologist. Ooh, fish. The self-therapy is so good for you. Ooh, you do a lot of self-therapy.
Yeah.
Like when I go.
Well, I call it taking moral inventory.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Where it's like, all right, was I a piece of shit today? What did how was I mean to somebody? How could I have handled the situation better? How am I going to deal with it in the future? But that takes a certain,
Isn't that kind of bad, though? Because you're calling yourself a piece of shit?
I mean, that's my method. But no, like that's my moral inventory. Like, okay, what happened today? What interactions did I have that made me feel yucky? How can I not have that again? How can I deal with it in the future? And that's when you get to that point of gratitude where you're like, this person was an asshole to me. I'm not going to react in the way that I would in the past.
The old lady at the grocery store.
Right. Instead, I'm going to be like, thank you for being there to reinforce that I'm doing the okay thing by letting it go and understanding that you're having a bad day.
I just imagine somebody taking my parking spot and me getting out of my car and saying, could you just roll your window down quick? Thank you for being here as I got my personal growth and you took my parking spot and looked angry at me. And when you flipped me off, it really helped me grow inside and them beating the shit out of me. Like, people are so angry though, D. Like we're in such an angry time. And I think everybody always says that. Yes, it was so much better than when I was a baby. But I mean, everybody's but people do seem more angry. I will say this. I mean, not as angry as it was, let's say 4 years ago.
Right.
But maybe COVID caused us to breathe. I don't know. But you can't let their problems be your problems either. Because they're angry, you can't let it make you angry. What's it called? An empath? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Feel other people's things.
Yeah. You're an empath.
Yeah. Yeah. It sucks. It's hard.
Is that when you think you're a shitty person? Because you're being an empath?
It's hard because you know what energy's in the room as soon as you walk in. And if it's negative, it's really hard to stop yourself from falling into that.
I hate that.
Yeah, it's hard.
The negative energy thing.
Yeah.
Not cool energy.
Right.
Okay, so be more cognizant of others is kind of what we covered.
Right. Well, and so there was this really great quote. I want to really find it because it was
She's like
awesome.
40 pages.
Yeah.
I did the episode on like Hollywood and whatnot. I had like 2 pages. You clearly are the teaching me to work a little bit harder at this podcast.
Okay. The other one. All right. So happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony.
That sounds so hippie. No offense.
It does, but it works.
Happiness is, okay, say that again.
When what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony.
Okay. So I think let's say I'm losing weight and let's say I'm actually seeing the numbers.
Sure.
So I'm losing weight. I lost 5 pounds last month or whatever. So I see that. And so I say I'm losing weight. I'm losing weight. So I'm in heart. So that I should be achieving happiness. That's a terrible analogy.
Yeah, no, it's more like, I think a good example for the antithesis of this is when people go to church every Sunday and, pretend to be Christian and then they're actually like backstabbing everybody and talking snit about them or touching kids or doing other terrible things. But because they go to church, that makes them a good person, right?
Did you see that story about the priest a little bit ago? The priest that was like playing... Have you seen that story about the video games?
No.
There was a priest between 1999 and 2012, a Catholic priest out of Pennsylvania.
Oh, shocking.
Was playing video games like Candy Crush and Wizard of Oz online with the church's money.
Oh, good.
And it might have been 40,000. I can't remember how much money it was. But and they said, well, you're gambling. And the priest was like, and this is no joke. And the priest was like, no, I was doing a personal refresh or something like that. Like I was resetting. It was my reset. It's not bad. And they're like, this priest is currently on personal leave.
I bet. Yeah, probably still getting paid.
Probably. But without getting too religious, and it doesn't matter that the person was Catholic or not.
It kind of does.
I'm saying the point is, so that's not, does that fit with what you were just saying more or less?
Right. Well, he's not in harmony.
Yeah.
Right? He's saying one thing, he's doing another thing, he's feeling another thing. Like, the key is to align all of those things.
Okay, right? So how do you achieve harmony?
Well, it's a daily struggle. It's a momentary struggle. Like, it's every second,
When was the last time you can remember being completely harmonious? Big word.
I wanted to make...
Sex joke.
A sex joke.
I knew
it. I did not.
Other than sex, other than the sexy time.
Yeah.
When was the last time you felt harmonious? Which means everything's in alignment.
Yeah. Probably last weekend. Probably last weekend. You go through, and this goes back to my horse again. Like, you go through these weird things, and like my trainer, and this is just so stupid, but it just made me feel in line with everything.
Okay.
It was going to rain. I put a blanket on my horse, and they were like, "You don't need a blanket. It's going to be fine." And I knew, I was like, if I don't blanket my horse, he's going to be shivering in the morning, and because he's a weak baby.
Yeah, baby.
And I felt proud because I left the blanket on. I didn't let this trainer, who's a male, intimidate me.
Why does that matter?
Because it does.
Okay, don't be man-hating.
Because it does. Because men think they can just say things and they know everything and that women should listen. It's a real thing.
Some men, not all men.
When I was over there washing your dishes, you opened up the dishwasher and pulled the rack out.
Yes, you're welcome.
As the expectation that I should put the dishes in there. And I did it without saying a goddamn thing.
But you want to know what, though? When I pulled out all the plates and heated up the food and got out all the food and I set up the buffet arrangement.
I get it.
Wasn't I typically playing the role of the stereotypical?
That's not what it's about.
Oh, okay.
It's about like having expectations for what other people should do.
Don't you think though, when I pulled the dishwasher open, like your inner like
I almost hit you with a plate.
Oh, did I? For some reason I thought that your inner reflex would kick in. Like, yes, he is 1940. I'm reincarnated. I'm a woman. I better put this in there.
So,
by the way, you didn't put him in the right.
I'm sure I didn't. My last two takeaways.
Okay.
So the best things in life are not things, that are moments, experiences, and relationships. That's the number one. And then the other one is the good life is not about having everything you want, but wanting everything you have.
Okay, let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah.
I know we're going soon, but let's dive into that. Okay, the good life is
not about having everything you want, but wanting everything you have.
Okay, so here's what it says underneath it. I just grabbed her paper. The quote by The Good Life beautifully encapsulates the essence of, she's looking at her phone. That's really ironic based on what she just said a minute ago. Finding joy in the present moment. It highlights the notion that true fulfillment and happiness come not from an insatiable desire. I have no idea what any of that means. What does that mean to you?
It means it's okay to have goals and have other, whatever, like goalposts for your life.
Sure.
But making sure that and this is part of being happy where you're at, is everything you have in your life something that you want? Is there a negative relationship in your life that you need to get rid of? Is there a habit that you have that is something that you don't want? Is there like
overeating?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Smoking, drinking too much, being mean to yourself, whatever, right? All of these things, right?
I clearly am not drinking too much because it's empty.
Making sure that everything that you have in front of you and in your life is something that you want.
Okay. So, like I have a goal. I've always had a feeling about you and I, to the point where many years ago you got mad at me because I was planning out the rest of your life.
Yeah, and not asking me.
Again, it's like the dishwasher. Like, I know what's best for you. And this was, of course, after the gentleman you work with was to retire and or leave or whatever.
Yeah.
Sure, right? But I was like planning out things for you and I. And then you said, hey, wait a minute, ass face. I want to start a hippie community and make my own potato sauce or whatever you were going to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. And we had this big, deep conversation. It was a great day for you to achieve happiness as I got sad. But that being said, again, like I've always had a feeling about you and I think this could be that thing.
Yeah.
You're more open to it now because I'm not being as aggressive. I even said to you earlier, we shouldn't just podcast every time we hang out.
Right.
I don't know if you believe me.
I do believe you.
Yeah. See, everybody, I can lie. But my point is though, is that okay for me to do, or does it involving you in it ruin the chi of it?
No, I mean, I think it's okay to have goals with other people attached to them for sure.
So how do you let them know what their goal should be?
Well, yeah, I think consent is key.
I know, but think about it though. Like, I mean, it's very rare some connections that people have in their lives, right?
Yeah,
and if you want to share that connection with other people, but sometimes people are afraid.
Right.
Or sometimes people think that they know the answer when they're wrong.
Right.
And sometimes someone like me, I'm trying not to be a smart ass, but honest to God, like my point is, how do you achieve said goals without offending or utilizing other people without offending them or something? I'm trying to think of the right way to say that.
Like using and manipulating other people?
No, but utilizing what's good for you. I sound like a selfish asshole, but I don't mean to. I really don't mean to.
I know you don't mean to.
Yeah, but so I don't. So like again, the good life, to quote you, the good life is not about having everything you want, but about wanting everything you have.
Right. So that's about eliminating. So think about the Marie Kondo thing.
Okay.
Does this spark joy?
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But
who's Marie?
Instead of just doing that with your clothes, do that with everything in your life.
Is Marie Kondo? Does she do the fashion designer?
No, she's an organizer.
Oh.
That was a big thing. Other people know what I'm talking about.
Okay, well, there are people like me out there somewhere.
So like just like going back to doing inventory, right? Like what are you doing with your time? And that was another thing in The Good Life too, where they were like, okay, so imagine you're born with an account and it has all the money you're ever going to be able to spend in your life.
Okay.
How careful would you be with your money, right? Now replace money with time.
Because money is money, but you can't buy time.
And you're only going to have a certain amount of time. So now you have this only certain amount of time. What are you doing with it? Who are you spending it with? Right? So that's the key there is like your time is that's your asset, dude. And you got to be careful. So then once you have that as your base, then you can go through your whole, what you're doing. You can go through 15 minutes of your life at a time. You can go through an hour. What am I doing right now? Do I like doing this? Why am I doing this?
Do I need to sit on my couch and binge loot on Apple TV?
And whatever. And maybe watching that show brings you joy, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's your wind down, and that's okay. But you also, you know, it's more about doing things you don't like doing. Why am I going over to this person's house when I don't really like hanging out with them? Why
were you looking at me when you said that?
Sorry.
There's no one else here, but
like just thoroughly enjoying your time.
So it's all about time.
Yeah.
This is going to become my thing with the podcast. You ready?
That's okay.
It's all about time, which we're out of. See what I did there? It's called a segue.
You're so cheesy.
You're cheesy. You're like cheese that was on our chicken sandwich.
Baby
Schwartz. Thanks for hanging out. We're going to go have another. Hopefully you'll have another. We'll talk to you in the future.